Journal is recommending a booster shot for anyone who received the Johnson & Johnson COVID vaccine. They say people should receive it 2 months after their first dose. So what do you do if your first dose was a lot longer than 60 days ago? It's a good question. We'll ask an infectious disease expert next. Johnson COVID vaccine, they say people should receive it 2 months after their first dose. So what do you do if your first dose was a lot longer than...
Watch all these commercials in fast speed. It must be one daggone show. Just one commercial break. Great Scott.
Johnson & Johnson's COVID vaccine was branded the one and done, but now FDA vaccine advisors are recommending all adults who received a J&J shot get a second jab at least 2 months after their first one, essentially making it a 2-dose vaccine and potentially raising concerns among those who have gone way longer than 2 months since their first dose. I spoke this afternoon with the director of the National Institute
Says half
of Health,
our country's
Dr.
vaccinated now.
About mixing and matching COVID vaccines. Here's what he told me.
There was data that suggested if you are going to get a booster for J&J, maybe getting a Moderna or a Pfizer booster would actually have some advantages in terms of giving you an even stronger immune response. So don't run out anybody who got J&J. I would wait another week right now and see what CDC's advisory committee does with this next week. And by maybe a week from today, I'll tell my grandkids what I think they ought to do.
And joining us now is Dr. William Schaffner. He's a professor in the Division of Infectious Diseases at Vanderbilt University Medical Center. Doctor, great to see you as always. Dr. Collins being very prudent there in his response. Not surprised to see that. But do you think we'll get clearer guidance on this mixing and matching of vaccines? Because everybody is asking that question these days.
Well, Jim, you're exactly right. Everybody is asking that question, and it's a good question. And I hope Dr. Collins is right that within about a week and a half, we will have a definitive answer on that question. I sure wish we had it today. The data look good to me, as they do to Dr. Collins, and I would hope that mixing and matching will be a recommendation shortly. But let's let the process work out. These critical advisory committees look at that. Let that
emergency use authorization for this medicine.
And we can talk to the American public with great clarity and assurance.
Right, and considering the efficacy rates of Pfizer and Moderna, here's another question I think people are going to be asking, and that is, do you think J&J should even be an option anymore? I suppose what we're just hearing now from these experts is that 2 doses of the J&J might be pretty darn effective.
2 doses of J&J actually looks rather good, and so for some populations that are harder to reach. Remember, this J&J vaccine can't be managed in conventional refrigerator temperatures, so it's easy.
I don't know what to say, really, because I'm not going to tell you not to get the shot. I'm not going to tell you to get the shot. I'm going to say that the shot that we have to get we got to talk about it, people. You just can't put graphene in people's body without studying the effects of it. We're never going to know the effects of that fast enough. We know that you don't have to get vaccinated to survive. We know that lots of people haven't gotten vaccinated and there's been no problems. And if we're wrong, it's because you guys have confused everybody. People, we got to get together. Enough with them guys telling us what to do. All they want to do is sell more commercials in a minute. Fox is doing the same thing. Go to MSNBC. That's all TV is about, is selling commercials. 24-hour news cycle, driving us crazy. Let's see what this sucker says. Get the shot. Don't get the shot. That doctor said don't get it yet, but this... We're just trying to raise our families here.
To get this vaccine out to populations, it still may be a good vaccine, but we have to give it 2 doses the way we do the other vaccines.
And a new study among hundreds of thousands of veterans found a big drop in vaccine effectiveness. The study found that in March, protection against infection was in the 80s for Johnson & Johnson, 90s for Moderna and Pfizer. By August, however, protection against infection had declined to just 3%.
Switzerland said you can't get the Moderna shot anymore.
64% for Moderna, 50% for Pfizer.
Something like that.
The study hasn't been peer-reviewed yet or published yet. We need to caution about that. But why aren't boosters being
Real-time
recommended
stuff here,
and
buddy.
authorized for everyone who has been vaccinated?
Well, remember, Jim, the performance of these vaccines against severe disease, keeping people out of the hospital, is distinctly better than that.
Sure.
And that's the main thing we're interested in.
Absolutely.
And I think as more data come in, and data such as you mentioned from the VA are carefully reviewed and vetted, well, then I think
Here's something a lot of people don't know. This is off subject, but same subject. Because he's from Vanderbilt. That's what reminded me of this. Many years ago, 1920s, 1900s, the Rockefeller started something called the American Medical Association, a nonprofit. The Rockefeller started that, right? And right thereafter, they got all the governments to ban shamans and ancient Native American medicine practices where Native Americans would heal people with different things and the same medicines that they sell us now, but they use oils of petroleum-based medicines now more. But then all the cancer started coming. You look this stuff up. But anyway, the Rockefeller started the American Medical Association, a nonprofit. Oh, they do this all left and right. They start tons of nonprofits. I'm sure the Rockefellers are great, and I'm totally mistaken. But anyway, something I learned. Let's see who wants to kick back. Hit it.
expansion of the recommendations may be in order. Not quite yet. Let's let the process work. We
Yeah.
want rigorous assessment before we make
How about rigorous
broad
testing?
recommendations.
And this is also going to be on everybody's mind, and I suspect it already is. Cases, hospitalizations, deaths continue to
they're
fall nationwide, thank goodness.
Oh, they're
That's
falling.
all welcome. But do you expect another spike this winter when people are
We
indoors?
don't know
more?
yet.
And we're all, we don't want to sit
It's
outside
very
in those
possible.
outdoor patios at the restaurant and so on.
We
Or
gotta
do we
watch.
have enough herd immunity in the country right now to protect against that? I suspect that's going
What
to
you got, big timer?
depend on where you're at. It's going to be region by region. Here in the Washington area, it might be different than Nashville and so on.
Sure.
Jim, you anticipate me. First of all, my
sorry.
fingers are crossed. If everybody keeps getting vaccinated and we actually get people their boosters.
This guy
as
isn't
we
necessarily
hope they will,
correct. He's just talking
then
his
I think
opinion, okay?
This downturn will continue, but it's too early to unfurl that banner, mission accomplished. We
He might
still
be
have to
right.
be
He
careful,
might be wrong. We gotta wait and
still have to
see.
Try to persuade some of our neighbors who
The
are
good Lord's got us in
unvaccinated
control,
to take
right?
the vaccine.
Absolutely. We'll keep that
Amen.
banner.
We all just
back
trying to
locked
help.
there for a while. We won't touch that one just yet. We're a long way off. All right, Dr. William Schaffner, thanks so much. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Jim.
All right, good to see you. Coming up,